right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And today we have Dionne as our guest speaker. Did I say your name right, Dionne?
Yes, you're saying my name right.
Okay, great. So we have Dionne as our guest speaker today, and she's going to be talking about the importance of having a website for authors. And you're going to get a little bit into some branding and things like that, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Can everybody else hear Dionne?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'll let you go ahead and take it away, Dionne. Dionne, can you let people know before we get started a little bit about who you are and the expertise that you will be giving, like where that's coming from, as far as like, you know, your career and what you've done and things like that?
All righty then. Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing? Hope you're having a good day. First day of spring. My name is Dionne Jones, and my forte is marketing. I am qualified in the field of marketing, an MBA and the DBA in marketing. I was qualified with the, sorry, this is new. This is something that I really don't do, but I'm glad to do it. So you guys bear with me. So I have been in the marketing field for 20 plus years. I started off with grassroots. I started off knocking on doors, selling encyclopedias, selling math programs, selling a learning program similar called Beginning to Read. That was not my career choice. Actually, I wanted so much to be a dietitian. And to be honest with you, everything I do these days always tend to lead back to food. But I advanced my career in marketing after I left my home country of Guyana, where I was born. I spent some time in Trinidad, and there is where I fully came into my marketing genre, because there is when I decided to go further in the field of marketing. I started with the Trinidad Express. That's where I did everything. I started as an online sales rep. I started there. I got into learning about online marketing because it was something that was new to the Trinidad market, new to the Caribbean market. That was over 15 years ago. And so everyone who were accustomed to just reading a newspaper, it was our job to convince them now to take that newspaper and put it online and market online. So there wasn't anything like that before. So basically we laid the foundation for internet marketing when it came to newspaper and media in Trinidad. Then we went across to our sister countries like Barbados and across the Caribbean to do the same thing. I spent 6 years at Trinidad Express. I ended up at the helm of the department. I led a department of 6 to 12 reps, and we took it to heights unknown back then. After I left Trinidad Express, I freelanced. That was actually my last corporate job. And I decided to create my own company. It started off as J Digital Solutions, and then I rebranded to Digital Media, which is a combination of my first name and my last name, with a play on the word media. And the rest is history. And I started talking to clients. I took some of the clients that I had before. I encouraged them to, you know, I started marketing my services. Now I have a plethora of clients. I really don't do much marketing, because the thing about it is that all of my clients come from word of mouth. So I keep up. I'm now outsourcing some jobs to website designers, content creators, and so on, because it's now expanding. So here I am. Recently, a friend of mine who is a chef, she, about 3 years ago, she decided that she wanted to do a magazine. Prior to that, I have done several magazines, because I've done magazines, business magazines, magazines dealing with tourism, with food. And so she approached me and asked me if I can help her to develop a magazine for her brand. Her name is Carolyn Hoyt. Her brand was Chef Carolyn Cooks, and the name of her magazine is Chef Carolyn Cooks. And like I said before, I always love dealing with anything to do with food. And after her magazine was launched, it very good success actually. She did 4 magazines. From that, she said she wanted to do a book. And then we started, the book took roughly about a year. But during that time, there was so much that I learned in the process. I mean, I have done websites for clients who are authors, business owners, but I got a first-hand look at what goes into actually publishing a book, actually creating it from the ground up, marketing that book, submitting that book to Ingram Spark, submitting it to KDP, actually creating the entire book, the layout, doing translating it to ebook, hardcover, paperback. And to be honest with you, persons who do this as a career, I really, really applaud you, because there were times when we basically went to the point where we want to scream and cuss each other out, because it was a frustrating process. And then Ingram Spark and KDP adding to the mix, it was something else. But when that book came out and I held that book in my hand and I looked at it and I saw my name as the creator, well, it felt really good. And I understand how it feels when you actually hold your book in your hand and then you want to get your book out there. However, it doesn't start when you have the book in your hand. It starts way before, because it's a process that you can, as we would say in the Caribbean, you can't do it now for now. So the minute you think about, okay, I'm going to write a book, the next thing you have to be thinking about is where or who am I going to market that book to, right? What's your target audience? Who am I going to sell the book to? Who are going to be interested in my book? And I am in authors groups all across social media. And someone posted that their book is not selling. And then another person gave a rude comment, probably said, because your book is probably not written well. I asked the person, I said, so who are you? Who your target audience? She said, her response to me was, I just wrote a book. I said, that's your first mistake. Because when you write a book, you need to know, because like I told her, I said, I like food. I'm not going to market a book about steak to a vegan. Now, if that book has an option to make a mushroom look like a steak, then I'm going to market that book to a vegan. But you have to know who your target audience is and then start from the get-go, even before you decide I'm going to publish my book. And even before you send your book off to a publisher, you need to know, you need to start your marketing. And the marketing starts up here. Who's my target audience? Who am I going to market the book to? What my branding is going to be? How am I going to market my book? All those things you have to take into consideration even before you send your manuscript off. It's one of the most important, because it's like, I'm selling a house and I'm like, yes, my house is there to sell. If I don't put my house in the market, if I don't contact a realtor, no one knows that my house is for sale. And you spend all this time on your book. You've done an excellent job, and you have your book printed and you have your book in a box stacked in front of you. How are people going to know that you even have a book for sale? You need to let them know. And here's where the marketing of your book comes in.
Wow, that is really quickly. Let me jump in here if you don't mind, but that was a really good intro, because it's very true. And I think even for like self-published authors, this can become a very, very kind of frustrating and monotonous and mountain to climb when it comes to marketing. Because as for me, a writer, my first passion is, of course, writing. But when you're a self-published author, even though that might be your passion, once you get over that hill, now you have to start marketing. And that may not be your passion at all. You may not have any skills in it whatsoever. You may not even be good at it. But if you don't learn some kind of tools and tricks and things like that, to get your book out there, like you said, your writing would have been for nothing. And so I really like how you kind of went into that, because that's has been a struggle for me, especially over the years. You know, like you said, you written it, you got it going, and now it's like, okay, how do I get it out there? And there's so many avenues you can take that sometimes it really feels overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, yes.
Yeah. So I know today you're going to go into like website design and things like that. So can you talk about like why you think an author needs a website? Like, you know, because that's a whole part of the marketing thing. And I know some people might not even feel like they need a website and stuff like that. So can you talk a little bit about why you think an author needs a website?
Sure. Now, before I jump into the marketing aspect of the book, I would like to touch briefly on branding yourself as an author.
Mm.
Now, when you think Amazon, what comes to mind?
Walmart on
Amazon comes to mind. You're talking about buying stuff from Amazon. Sometimes I see a meme which that says, I have a toxic relationship with Amazon, because when you think about Amazon, you think about shopping. You see that smile and that word Amazon, and you think shopping. That's what you call a brand. Now, a brand can be more than just a logo, a website, color. It's basically how someone perceives you. When someone picks up your book and they see your name, for instance, there's an author called Sandra Brown. I pick up Sandra Brown book and immediately my thoughts go back to a book that she wrote called Slow Heat in Heaven. She wrote the book that I can identify with at a point in time. My favorite artist is Jerome, well, God rest his soul, Eric Jerome Dickey. He's my all-time favorite author. And when I see his book, I know that I can get lost in it. I know that I've read so many of his books, and he brings to light everything. When he talks about the different locations, I remember spending some time in London. Then I read a book, one of his books that described the part in London that I know so very well, Barbados, Trinidad, and I could identify, because these are the places I've been to. I'm from the Caribbean, and I know that Eric Jerome, he touched on the Caribbean in many of his books. That's his brand. His brand is being able to transport you, being able to take you into his book. And it's not just about a brand. It's not just about a logo. It's not just about a website. It's not just about colors, but it's to identify with your target market. Now, if I can ask, the genre of your book, Sage, and who I'm speaking with, can you touch and tell me a little bit on the genre of the books that you write?
Did you want me to answer that, or do you?
Yeah, you can answer, and the rest of the panel, if you can tell me the genre of books that you write.
I basically write self-help Christian books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wrote one book, and it's a memoir. Mine is also like a nonfiction self-help, and also touching in children's books.
Okay, so NACO, is it? Am I?
Yes, NACO.
NACO. No, NACO. Your book is a self-help book.
Yes, my first one is a self-help book.
Okay, is that the book that you're currently marketing?
Yeah, sort of. Not as good as I could be.
I understand.
But yes.
Who are your ideal readers? Who are the people that you would like to read your book? Of course, you wouldn't market your book to. Is your book Christian based?
It touches a little bit on that. My approach with the book, I didn't want to be too heavy in that area, just because of the mixed religions. I mean, there is some mention of God in there, but not so much where it would deter somebody from getting the message.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah.
No, you go ahead.
What was that?
So you want to say something else?
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I guess it really just depends. Like if you're a Christian person, I mean, you would probably totally receive it that way, but it's not like a real heavy mention of him. So it doesn't deter others that's not into that from reading the book.
Seem to have lost.
Are you having some trouble?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah,
Can anyone see me or hear me?
I can hear you and see you.
Yes, same here.
Can you hear and see everybody else?
I'm hearing, but I'm not seeing. For some reason, I do not have my screen anymore. I see my camera is on. Okay, let me, okay, here you go. All right, yes, I'm seeing you now. Deborah, can you give me a little rundown on the genre of your book?
Okay, yeah. Hi, I pronounce my name Deborah.
Deborah,
And,
right? It's a small E, right?
Right. And one of my best friends was from Guyana. Yeah. Yeah. My book is a memoir. I'm a community activist around issues of housing and homelessness, former homeless. And so coming out of the experience, I decided to write a book. I sit at a lot of tables and work with people who are working on laws and policies connected to homelessness and housing. And so I already knew who part of my target audience was, but also I want the book to be one that could be read and absorbed by people who have experienced homelessness, whether it was in the street, a shelter, or living with relatives, just to bring more attention to the subject and the issue of housing and homelessness in this country.
Okay, and hi, Martika. Can you give me a quick rundown on your book?
Yes, my book is a self-help book. It's Christian based. It's about overcoming.
Your microphone is muted. I think we lost Marquita there for a minute. Hi, you're back with us, Marquita. Martika.
Yes. It is Christian based. It's a self-help book, and it's about overcoming adversity.
Okay. Hi, Love More. How are you? Can you give me a quick rundown on your book?
Hi, yes. My book is like education, lifestyle. It's for single moms, just to solve those everyday problems. So it's like an ebook galleria. So that's what I'm working on right now because there's no specific subject. It's just all the things moms go through to solve a problem.
And
so.
I have been a single mom for 16 years before I got married. So that's something definitely that I can identify with. See, I can already say to you, well, that's a book. I have been a single parent, so there was nothing wrong with me purchasing your book. But me, let's say 15 years ago, yeah, that is me. I'm your target audience right there. So you're back to the branding. So like I was saying, you identify with your target market, so you know who you're going to market your book to. Right? Incidentally, the key to your brand is not only just your book, and like I touched on before. Now, many people write under a pen name. Now, when you decide to market your book, you have to decide if you're going to market yourself as your pen name or yourself as your regular name. Because when you start as your pen name, that's the name that people are going to identify with. And that's the name that you have to take across the medium, whether it be your website, whether it be your social media, whether it be your social media templates. Because I can't, for instance, my last client, her name is Courtney Booker. Her pen name is Courtney Michelle. Now we started her brand and we're developing her brand on the Courtney Michelle, which is on her book. So she's been marketing her book for a year. Let's say she's marketed for a book for a year under the brand Courtney Michelle. And then next year she decides to drop a book with Courtney Booker. What happens then? No one knows who Courtney Booker is. Everyone knows who Courtney Michelle is. So when you're starting your marketing, you always have to remember to decide how are you going to market yourself, because your branding is not just your book. Remember, you are the person who's putting the book out there, and it's not just one book. So we have to focus on you as the person who will be the face of your brand. So is it going to be your pen name? Is it going to be your regular name? You have to decide which one you're going to use. And once you use that, you really would have to stick with it. Now, which brings me to how you're going to start with your website. Now, when, like I was mentioning last week, okay, before I go into that, your color. Do you know that colors of your book translate to whether or not someone will pick your book up? I mean, your book can be a horror genre. It could be self-help, but you also have to make sure that when you are creating the cover of your book, it jumps out at the person. Because remember, you're in a sea of millions of people doing the same thing as you. So you always have to make sure you have that little edge as to your design, how it's going to stand out, how it's going to represent you as a brand. You've got to be able to talk to your audience. I must look at your book and want to pick it up. I must look up at your book and want to pick it up before I even know what's in the book. And those are some of the things that you have to take into consideration when writing your book. Now that you've decided on your color, now that you decided on which name you're going to be using, you put that everywhere. And your book hasn't been sold, hasn't been published as yet, but you got to put yourself out there. You got to let people know who you are. You got to let people know, I am going to be writing a book. My book is coming up. And if you put it across social channels, if you put it across business cards, your email signature, you got to start promoting yourself. So when your book drops, everyone will be hitting on it. Everyone will know, well, hey, it's been anticipating, it's a build up. That's why you start before you even publish your book. It's a build up, it's a teaser. It's a teaser. This book is coming. That's how you start. That's how you start doing it. That's how you start doing it. No. Do writers need a website? Yes. Now, a website is like a real estate on the internet. I'm sure many of you can remember MySpace. What happened to MySpace? MySpace is no longer there. I'm sure many people could remember just a couple of months ago when Facebook went down. What happens if your social media goes down? We got a problem. Twitter. Every day there is something different. They're changing the rules. They're changing algorithms. They're changing everything. Sometimes it's in your good interest. Sometimes it's not. So can you really depend on the likes of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, right? Social media, no, I'm not discounting social media. It's not great for your book, but it's not something that you own. A lot of people say, yeah, I have a Facebook page. No, you don't own that Facebook page. Facebook owns that page. Because at the end of the day, and like what happened to my last profile, I can't get into my profile. I had to create an entire new profile so that I can even get back onto Facebook. Now, at the end of the day, you can wake up one morning and see that you can't even get in to your social media. So I always advise that you should use social media as a conduit to your website. Don't give Facebook all your traffic. Don't let Twitter get all your traffic. When you post a blurb is something like a teaser. Click a link, let them go to your website, get all the traffic. And the more traffic your website gets, the more Google is going to push your website to the top of a search channel. And that is where you go. You use you optimize social media, yes. You market the hell out of your social media page, yes. But always make sure that your social media page leads back to your website, your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, all those channels. Let it go back to your website, because that is where you want the traffic to go. And it's important. Any questions? Am I still on? Everyone is still hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
I really like that you're, I'm just trying to get my breakfast in while you're talking, but I do have a website, and I like that you're saying to make sure like the Facebook does that, you don't own that, because I think a lot of times we get really comfortable with social media and we feel like it's our own, but Facebook can take your page from you at any moment. It's been times where they even restricted my account, things like that. And it's frustrating, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I do like to have them, that I do have my website, but sometimes I don't think that the traffic translates over to my website as well, but I do like that I kind of have a home base for all my stuff, and I don't have to necessarily depend totally on social media in that capacity. So I guess my question is like, what would you suggest as far as like making sure that that traffic really translates over, or is it just like a hit and miss type of thing? It's, you know, it's not really in your control as long as you put your website page there.
Okay. One of the proven methods that I use, and one of the proven methods that I encourage my clients to use, and people might not understand just how important a blog on your website is. Now, you have content. Content is important because it speaks to people. It's like a lifestyle. You wanted to tell you wanted to speak to someone. So I am interested in Crazy Glue, and you have your target audience is people who are interested in Crazy Glue. Now you want traffic, and it's organic traffic. I'm not talking about ads that you pay for or anything like that. Everything I'm talking about is strictly organic. And something that have been proven is the power of the blog. And a lot of persons have websites, but they don't realize just how important blogs are. Now, a blog tease, a blog blurb, I can put something here and says, the amazing thing that Crazy Glue can do. And I'm interested in Crazy Glue, and I am on your social media page, and I see that. But then you put the entire article that you wrote on social media, and I read it, and I'm interested in it. What would make me go to your website? Nothing really. So it's important. And a blog is one of the single most important things that can take someone to your website. I'll tell you some more things that you can get traffic towards your website that you don't have to pay for, and it's strictly organic. Content is key. Content is important. You have written a book. You want people to know that you are a professional in the area that you've written your book in. You want to tell them, okay, this is what I do, this is what I know. Because when you're writing a book, you're writing a book to a target audience, and you want them to know, well, I'm good at what I say my book is, or I'm good at what I say my book can do. And that's when you maximize your social media pages to take it to your website. You write articles. You don't have to be, and if you get stumped in writing articles, you have a lot of, and this is so crazy. The IA, where you can go on and put in your blog topic that you want to write about, and it assists you in writing articles for your website. I use I'll send you guys the link after, but my last client, she was talking about a blog, and she has she's stumped when it comes to writing content for her website. And the AI, not the IA, sorry, the AI helps her. And if you Google AI, you'll get free, you get some free, you'll get some that you can use for 30 days free, some you can use a 7 days free, and see which ones that you like. You put in a topic that you want to write about, and it actually writes it for you. And the nice thing about it is that when it writes an article for you, you wouldn't see that article anywhere on the internet. So someone can't accuse you of plagiarizing an article or stuff like that. So it helps you a lot. It helps you a lot. And I use it sometimes on my own website, sometimes when the everything is not coming, when I have to write articles on branding and marketing and so on, I use an AI. So Google an AI, and if you're getting stumped in terms of your content, you can definitely use that in your blog, and use a teaser of your blog on your social media page and get someone to click and take you there. Then there's lead generation. Now you've written a book. You want someone to go to your website. Hey, let me put a free chapter of my book, so you can have a read. So you put the first 6 lines of the chapter on your social media page, read more, click this link. The person goes to your website, they read your book, and then they go to your website. And when they get to your website, you said, okay, you put in your information, you build that, and that's right there is where you start to build. You create an email list, because you want an email list. Is super, 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 super important, especially for authors. And if you go to CourtneyMichelle.com, you will see, that's my last client. You will see where she has a part where she gives you an entire read of a free chapter of her book. But you put in your name and your email address, and then you get a link to download a chapter of her book. And that's another way to generate organic traffic to your website. So there are several ways in which you can leverage social media to send traffic to your website. Now, I know you're running a little ahead of time, so let me
we did start a little bit late, so I don't want to cut you down. So I would say 4:20, but if it goes over that, I think it's okay. It's just if people need to check out early, they can go ahead and leave. But so let's say 4:30 to if you feel like that's enough time, I'm okay with that.
All right, so get your website up and running. That is one of the key marketing tools that you use in conjunction with social media. I will never buy social media, because social media gets you the traffic that it's out there that you couldn't harness with just the website alone. So
I do have a quick question. Now I know getting a website can be really expensive. I used to freelance for a website design company, and it wasn't until then that I just realized how expensive websites can be, because this lady was charging like $20,000-$30,000 for websites, and I was like, oh my goodness. But then she was customizing, she was programming and things like that. So I would like for you to but if you do your own website, because that's the difference. So it's like, do I pay somebody to do it, or do I do it myself? A lot of people try to go at it alone to cut costs. Of course, as self-published authors, we need to keep our expenses down, but sometimes that can backfire. So can you talk a little bit about the difference between doing it yourself and maybe having somebody to do it, or like, stuff like that? Because I've seen websites where, and I kind of design websites a little bit myself, but I've seen websites where authors try to do it themselves, and it looks really bad. And so if you have a bad looking website, it can really, really hinder, people taking your book seriously, you seriously buying your book. They just kind of make an assumption about who you are based on how the page looks. And so can you talk a little bit about doing it yourself versus having a professional?
I can do that. All right. Now, well, of course, the difference between having it done and a professional. And I have done websites for an entire Olympic, the largest sporting event in the Caribbean, which is called the Caribbean Games. I've done websites for that. So My websites can go into the thousands, the hundreds of thousands. It depends on what am I doing. Now, I'm not going to look at a newly published author, someone who's trying to get their foot in the door, someone who's out there and said, look, okay, I'm going to charge you $1,000. And there are companies out there that do that. But if you do your due diligence, and if you do the research, you would find reputable companies that would work with you. Companies too, like myself, you don't even have to pay your entire fee up front. And one guy the other day challenged me. He said, well, if you're so good at what you say you do, why not decide that you'll get paid on royalties? I said, guess what? I'm already doing that, because I know that what I do is quality work. So I sit down, I go with a client. I said, okay, tell me what you want your website to do. Tell me tell me your budget. If you don't have a budget, let's sit down and let's talk, because it's not, and that's the reason why you see people ask me why I don't put prices on my website. And that's the reason why, because every client is different. I can push a client away. I can push a client away for what, $50 or less or more, because if you don't sit down and you don't talk to your clients, if you don't work with them, if you don't, give the personalized touch, it'll be amazing that from that one client, and I can say, okay, it's not the ideal budget that I would like to have, but guess what? And it always works out this way for me. From that one client that I've paid attention to detail and to work with them, that one client always gives me a referral for someone, some two, some three. That's why I really don't do much marketing, because of the referrals I get. Now, let me stop tooting my own horn. Back to your question. Now, there are a couple of things, and it's just simple. Just keep it simple. Now, first of all, you have to decide what platform you want to use. Here's Wix. There's Shopify, there's WordPress, there's Joomla, but my content creation of choice is WordPress. I like working with WordPress. Most of my websites are WordPress, unless I do strict coding, which takes it into the thousands. But WordPress is very, very simple, and it's easy, and you can use Wix too. Now, if you want a website that looks good, always look for templates. That's important. Look for an auto template, and templates are a dime a dozen. With WordPress, you get thousands of templates that can have an author. Now, your homepage is simple. Your picture, the picture of your book, the name of your book. Let me tell you just the 6 things that you need to make your website look good. It's not a lot. 6 elements on your website. The first thing you have an author's bio. Now, the start of your website page. Now, let's go. Your first page, your picture, the picture of your book, and a short bio. You don't put your whole bio on the front page. You always put a few lines of your bio, and then you use a link, read more. Now, this read more link will take you to about the author, because you want someone to stay on your website and you want someone to read about your website. Now, the book, you get a tease. You see the book picture, about the book. Read more. It's always a read more link. Click on it. It takes you to the book. And that's the start. A picture of your book, a short bio that always takes you to a longer bio, which is the next page. You don't need more than 6 pages on your website. You don't need more than 7 pages. If you're a newly published author, 6 the most. If you have more than 1 book, I suggest a page for each book. But our website does not have to be the back, a book page. Now, the picture on your homepage takes you to your book page. Each book should have its own page. It should have a long description of what your book is about, your title, your subtitle, who published your book, a nice picture of your cover, a nice picture of the back of your book. If it's part of a series, the ISBN number, page count, and you can also have, that is where you put your video ad or an audio ad. You can either put a chapter sample, or you can even read a chapter sample as an audio, so people can hear what your book is about. And this is where you tell people where your book is available. Now you put your links, whether it's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, IndieBound, Books A Million, iBook, wherever your book is available, that's where you put your links. Now, it's important to know that you don't want them moving away from your site just yet. So when you put the links to your books that are being sold, always make sure to open it in a new page. Because you want them to stay on your website, and then you want that other page there. So you have a page to you want them to open your link to open into a new page. Mailing list sign up. I touched on that before, how important it is to have a mailing list, how important it is to be able to get your target audience into one place, so they'll be able to know more about what's coming books. Let them know what's coming up. Let them know something about you, even if you want to do a newsletter, but let them keep constant contact. It's important for you to keep constant contact with people on your mailing list and your blog. I can't stress how important a blog is on your website, and I touched on what blogs are about, and it's important to have that, and it's important to always keep your blog up to date. Now, media page. Some authors need a media kit. I offer a free media kit with my package, my author package. I order a free media kit. Now, a media kit is basically everything about you as a person in a kit that you send to media houses. Let's say a media house may want to interview you. Media house might want to give you, you go on interviews, as well as like what I'm doing here now, like a seminar, presentation, and it helps the people to know more about you in a condensed way. So, and if you go on CourtneyMichelle.com, again, that's the website I just created for my client, you'll see that she has a media kit. If you go on CarolineHoyt.com, another client, I also created a media kit because they want to be, they want to go on interviews, they want to be in a magazine feature. So that is what you send to media houses when you want to do interviews and magazine features, etc. And last but not least, your contact information. Always make sure that your contact information is up to date and there is a page for it. So let me recap. It's your home page, a page for each book, your bio page, a media page, your blog, and a content page. And a contact page. 6 pages that you need. And it's basically easy to create. It's templates. Always start with templates. And if you go to free author templates, if you Google free author templates, if you don't even want to do go with a professional to design your website, and if you know you're going to put the time, but you got to make sure that you're going to put the time into this. There are several. There are a plethora of DIY videos on YouTube, and you can go step by step. If you Google a template and you want to know how to put that template, how to make it your own, there are tips. If you put that's the name of that same template into YouTube, you will see lots of videos on how to customize a template with your own colors to make it your own, whether it's a Wix template, whether it's a WordPress template. So, and if you decide to go the route where you do it yourself, go to your domain name and hosting. Now, a domain name is very, 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 very important. Like I was talking last week about it. Even before you think about writing a book, have you ever Googled your name? Have you ever checked to see if your name is available as a domain name on the internet? And like I was telling the young man last week, I think his name is Kofi Annan. You write a book, your book blow up, but you don't have your own domain name and someone else buys that domain name, you're in trouble. So the first thing you need to do, even before you get a website, even before anything else, you lock down your domain name. It's $10 a year. Look for your pen name if you're gonna be using a pen name for your book. Look for that pen name to see if it's available. And even if that pen name is not available, put the word author at the back. It's your name, it's author.com, and there you have your domain. In addition to that, always make sure you lock down your own name. My name is Dionne Jones. I did not have the pleasure of locking down my own name because it has been taken many years ago by a pediatrician. So I had to find ways around that. djones.com, dionnej.com, things like that. So always make sure that you own your own small piece of real estate in terms of your domain. Your domain is very, very important. And another thing too, I always shy away from using your book as your domain name, because if you use your book as your domain name and you decide to write another book, what happens then? The name of your book is Self-Help for Single Mothers. So you put helpforsinglemothers.com and you use that as your branding. And then next year you decide to write selfhelpforfathers.com. So what happens then? You have to go now look for another domain when you could be using your name or your pen name as your domain, and then list your books under that name on your website. And there you have it. So make sure and always look for your pen name. Make sure and always try to lock down your own name. His name is Kofi, the guy I was talking to last week. His name is Kofi Annan. And I know Kofi Annan, who was also the former Secretary General of the United Nations. That domain name, even if it's available, would be super expensive. And I was right. When I checked the amount for that domain name, it was thousands. I think it was $5,000 or $6,000 just for the year. So if he puts kofiannan.com, there you go. He has his own brand. No, the name of his book, I think.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
So what about, like, you have the .com, then you can have .org, then you can have all the, like, because should you buy all of those, or is the .com one pretty much what you need because that's the most popular one?
If you have the financial resources, yes, I encourage you to lock all down. When you do .com, you look for the next MD, you look for the next popular one, which is .net. And then you look for .co. Now, if you got those three locked, you're good. If you want to add the rest, which would be about 99 cents and so on, because the most expensive one would be .com. And then the .net would be like half the price, and so it would be .so is .co. But .com is important. And if you really, really, really have exhausted your search for your name in .com, chances are you will be able to find it in .net or .co. But I also encourage that if you do have those financial resources, to lock those down too. It's in your best interest.
Okay, so I have another question really quickly, but I just want to mention that Deborah said, can you put the link info in the chat for your client? Like, you've mentioned a few links. If you would like to, if you can put those in the chat before you wrap up today, I think it'll be helpful for everybody. If you can do that. And then I have one more question. So I know you're saying to lock down your name. So if you lock down your name, should that also apply for your book too? Because I mean, if your book does blow up, you should probably have that name like set aside too. So as much as you should not put your website under your book name, should you also just if you, like you say, you have the financial resources, is it good to do that with the title of your book too?
Not necessary. I tell you why. There are millions of books out there with the same name.
Mm.
Now, what is important for people to find your specific book is, and I should have touched on this when it comes to your website, because even though you create a smashing website, the website that looks good, search engine optimization is what makes people find your book, right? Keywords. And if you notice, if anyone is using Ingram Spark or KDP, you will see that there's a spot apart for your keywords. So keywords are important, and search engine optimization. It's tricky. It's a little ticklish, but if you are using WordPress, they're done for you. Plugins that you can use, that it basically takes you through how to create a good SEO. And what I would also do with my clients is that I revise their work. I have analytics on their site. So every month I would revise what words are working and what's not working. And the ones that are not working, we just revise that and we go again. So it makes sure that you're always within the first 1 or 2 pages of Google. But search engine optimization is important, because if you look for instance, my friend Carolyn, the name of her book is The Melting Pot. And she couldn't use the word with a G at the end because of not only that, it was copywritten before. And a melting pot, of course, is a fondue pot that you use with cheese. So we came up with the idea, okay, why not just let's drop the G and put a little apostrophe at the end of the word melted. And it worked. But you got to make sure that if someone puts in melting pot, even if they put in the G, within the first 2 or 3 pages of Google, her book will pop up. So if you wanna, it's neither here nor there. If you wanna lock down the name of your book, you can, and then you can link it to your main website. It's completely optional, and a lot of people do it. But make sure it's always linked to your main website if you are able to get, because you got some long titles, and the longer the title, the less chances of the Google search bots indexing your website. Less chances, because they don't like, basically the Google bots that make your site visible don't like long domain names. So it's bull in a china shop that come like Kofi Annan's book, but then you also have to be mindful of how long your book title is. So it's optional.
All right, thank you. That's some good information.
All right, anybody have any questions for me? And as you're on it now too, I have an author's package. If you go to my website, in the chat to everyone, if I'm allowed to.
I had a hello.
Yeah, love, you kind of breaking up a little bit, but go ahead.
I had a question about the emails. I know you talked about a little while ago, but like how do you get those pages like that come up to get people's emails? How do you do those?
All right. Has anybody ever heard of MailChimp?
MailChimp. Yeah, I think
that's my go-to. You can't go wrong with MailChimp. Now, MailChimp gives you the ability to put a form on your website where persons can put in their email, and when they put in their email, a link is automatically sent to them where they can download stuff from your website. And the free version of MailChimp is up to 2,000 subscribers. So you can't go wrong with MailChimp. What I would suggest you do is to get a free account with MailChimp. If it's overwhelming for you, there are lots of tutorials, there are lots of documentation on how to use MailChimp, because like I said, I can't stress enough how important email list is to an author, to business on a whole. So MailChimp, let me just put the link there too. MailChimp.com. And if you go on my website, I'm offering a 25% discount on any services that I have, and I have an artist package. If you know of anyone that might be interested in the artist package, it's $300, and it includes everything that needs to get you out there with your brand, including your logo, media kit, a website. And in addition to that, there is a discount of 25% right now. I also offer payment plans, so you don't have to break the bank. If for some reason that your budget can't make that, sit down, I can talk with you. Just send me an email. This is my email address. Let me just give you my Gmail, which is easier. And we can talk.
Can you also put that link in there for that helps you write the blogs? I think you said it was AI or something like that.
Just give me a minute. Let me just go online and make sure that I have the real, the correct thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me a minute.
Does everybody here have a website or not? Can we kind of go through the line and see who has a website already and who doesn't?
I have one.
Martika has one. I have one.
Yeah, I have an organizational website that I have a page, an office page on it.
Okay.
I don't have a website. I just have the platform that I use for my ebooks. And I use Gumroad, so it's not like a website, but it's kind of like Facebook, and I mean, not really like Facebook. I don't know if anybody knows about Gumroad, but that's what I'm using. Like, I'm just,
I've heard about Gumroad, yes.
yeah, I'm just like building my audience right now because it's only been a few months that I've been writing. So I'm really trying to build my audience for like my real, because I have like two, like longer books that I want to write. So one is a memoir, one is like young adult fantasy or whatever with a little twist. So those are like the books that I really want to write, but to publish them is like 20,000. So I don't got that. So,
Who said
so
that?
I want to build my audience first so that when I do write those books that, it's like I'm getting more offers than.
Are you planning on going to Random House to publish your book?
No,
how are you planning on publishing? Self-publish?
No, I don't want to self-publish those
So
books.
what's 20,000? What is 20,000?
Like 10,000 each book to really like push them out there like that, to get full like manuscripts. I'm like get my manuscripts printed out, because both are like probably like one is 10,000 words and the other one's probably like 25. So they're not like super crazy.
But you got that amount, that budget from somewhere. So where did you get that amount from?
Yeah, I mean,
this lady that she's like a Black-owned publishing company or whatever. She's the one that gave me those quotes for those books.
If you don't mind me asking, what are you getting for 10,000?
It's basically everything from finish to start. Like, they create your book, your ebook, they do your marketing plan. They have editors there. Like, they do everything for the 10,000. They edit your book, they publish your book, they get your ISBN number. Like, you more or less own your book, but they're self-publishing it for me, basically.
Who owns the ISBN of the book when they create your ISBN?
I own everything. They like self-published it. They publish it for me.
They give you a marketing plan, or they actually work their marketing plan?
Yeah, they give you a marketing plan, and they set up interviews and what else? It was like 3 things that they set up for you. 3 different speaking, but she's like, it's up to you how you do. She's like, because when you do those speaking engagements, that's up to you. They just put you in front of the audience. You either capture the audience or you don't, type thing. So I felt like it was a pretty good deal for 10,000. Like,
Can I ask you really quickly? I know we need to wrap up here in a second. When Dionne said about self-publishing, you immediately was like, no, I don't want to do self-publishing. So what? I mean, you still are kind of doing self-publishing with them. They're just handling most of the work for you. But what is your feeling? Why did you say no, you don't want to do that so quickly? What's your thoughts about it?
because I don't like the editing and all that. I don't want to do all that stuff. Like self-publishing, no, I don't want to do that. Like publishing my own stuff, yes. But like actually sitting there and editing my work, and I don't want to do that part. That's the part I'm like, no, it's mostly editing. Like
Editing, well, even with self-publishing, I never suggest to my clients to be their own editor. Yes, you can edit your book, but always have a secondary person editing your book. The amount of mistakes that you find is crazy because you are looking at that all the time. You are in your mind's eye, it's telling you everything is fine. And then I mean, even if you spend your money on anything else, always at least get a professional copywriter, professional editor to edit your book. It can make or break your book.
yes,
Yeah, and let me suggest this. You also can go to, because if that's the main thing you don't want to do, then you can just go on Fiverr, which is a freelancing website, and hire people to do the stuff you don't want to do. And then you can do the stuff that you want to do, and that will save you a lot of money.
Well, that's what I use right now for my ebooks. So I use that right now for my ebooks because I don't like the ones that I put out now. I get them edited on there. So I'm familiar with the website, but there's a lot of scammers on there too. So it's like,
look for reviews. Always look for reviews. And if you can find whoever they've done with, always ask for, look, I'd like to see your portfolio. I'd like to see people that you've done work for. And I'd like to speak to the people that you've done work for. You got to do your homework, and you got to weed, as I would say, weed the sheeps, yes, with an S, away from the goats. You got to do your due diligence. You got to do your research. You got to do your homework, because even on the groups that we're on, a lot of groups that I'm in that are independent authors, you got your share of scammers in there. Lord have mercy. Oh,
yeah. And that's why I don't want people coming into this group that I started, just advertising their services. I feel like, hey, we need to have a conversation. I need to vet you. I don't want people just coming in, because I want people to feel like if somebody is advertising their services in our group, that they can be trusted. I don't want them to just come in doing that. So,
tried, proven, and tested. I quite agree with you, because it's just gonna end up in a whole. And Sage, if I can talk to you after the meeting, I got a couple of things that I would like to run by you, if it's okay.
No problem. So you can go ahead, Dionne. I give you back the floor, and to wrap up, if anything else, yeah, go ahead.
Anybody has any questions? Martika, is it possible you can put a link to your website as well as Nat Cole?
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you. Learned some valuable information today. And just thank you, and I'll be in touch with you.
I'm going to send you the link to my client's website. There it is. And if anyone wants to see the website I did for my last client, it's simple and it's to the point. It's CourtneyMichelle.com.
This Courtney Michelle, this is the website you did, right?
Yeah, that's the last website I did for my client.
Want to look at it.
Yeah, that was gonna be like my question as far as getting those interviews and getting into the book signing and kind of getting out there on a face-to-face type basis or virtual book signing, like how to go about that process.
And anytime you want to engage the media when it comes to anything for your business, both regardless. The first thing they, and if it's a media house that's where they're sold, the first thing they're going to ask is for your media kit. They're lazy. They don't want to go through. They don't want to go look you up. They don't want to go look at your website and then read out information on you. They want to go, even if they go to your website to find you, they must be able to download your media kit, and that'll be able to give them an idea of who you are, what you do, your background, the books you've written, and about your book. It's something that's important to have if you want to go the route of having interviews, having interviews for magazine, for radio, for television, online. That is something very important to have, a media kit.
So any more questions before we wrap up here? I will give you guys back your Sunday. Anything else?
That website doesn't work. The Courtney Michelle website. I wanted to see it. It didn't pop up in the chat. I think you spelled it wrong.
COURMIC. Let me just make sure that I have it correctly there. Let's put it in. Give me a second. Story ensemble.
All right, I got it. All right,
Yeah.
y'all have a good evening. I'm gonna go.
All right, thank you, love. I'll be reaching out to you soon.
Okay, definitely. I'll see you this week.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, so if anybody wants to reach out to me after, I did put up my email address there. Feel free to email me, or if you prefer, I mean, if it's okay for me to put in my number, 031. Or that's my number. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to do so.
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody. Dionne, I'm staying here to talk with you for a minute, but everybody, thank you so much for coming. I'll put out the next webinar for next month, because we do it once a month. For the one we're having next month, I forgot the topic, but it's already scheduled, but I'll put that in the group. But thanks for coming. I hope you guys learned something.
And thank you guys for listening to me.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Have a good week.